I never believed a single sentence could end a relationship until that night when it did. Lena and I had been together for nearly 2 years. Things weren't perfect, but I thought we had something real. We laughed often, made plans for the future, and even talked about marriage. Looking back, I should have paid closer attention to the warning signs. The way she still followed her ex on social media, how his name would slip into conversations, and those rare moments when she'd compare small things I did to him. I ignored it all, until that night. It started over something trivial, the way most big fights do. We were arguing about weekend plans. She wanted to go to a party with her friends, while I preferred a quiet night in. Nothing serious, just a difference in preferences. But then she scoffed and said, "You know, Jake would have never been this boring. He always knew how to have a good time." Jake, her ex. A cold wave washed over me. At first, I wasn't sure I'd heard her right, but then I saw the look on her face, the slight tilt of her chin, like she was daring me to react, and I knew she meant it. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. That was a weapon. I exhaled slowly, trying to contain the storm brewing inside me. "What did you just say?" She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "Oh, don't be so sensitive. I'm just saying you could learn a thing or two from him." And that was it. That was the moment I knew I was done. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a reaction. I simply turned and walked into the bedroom. At first, she thought I was sulking. "Oh, come on, don't be dramatic," she called after me. But then she heard the closet door open. She saw me pulling out my duffel bag, and her tone changed. "Wait, what are you doing?" I didn't answer. I just started throwing clothes into the bag, t-shirts, jeans, socks. I didn't even care if I packed properly. I just needed to get out. She rushed in, her face pale. Okay. I didn't mean it like that. It was just a dumb comment." "Babe, seriously, you're overreacting." I finally looked at her, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No love, no anger. Just emptiness. "You should have thought about that before you said it." Her eyes widened. "You're not seriously leaving over this." I zipped up the bag. "Watch me." She grabbed my arm. "Come on, don't be ridiculous. You're not actually leaving." I shook her off. "You don't get it, do you? It's not just about what you said. It's about what it means." Her lips trembled. "What does it mean?" I slung the bag over my shoulder. It meant I was just a replacement. I saw it hit her, hard. The realization, the guilt, the fear. It was all there in her eyes. "Wait, where are you going?" she asked, her voice cracking. I didn't answer. I grabbed my keys and walked toward the door. She followed, desperation creeping into her voice. "Babe, please." I didn't mean it. "I love you." I paused for just a second, then said the last words I would ever say to her. "Then you should have respected me." And with that, I walked out. I didn't go to a friend's place. I didn't call my parents. I left the city. I drove for hours, checked into a rundown motel for the night, and turned off my phone. The moment I laid down on that stiff mattress, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I never responded to her texts, never called her back. I disappeared from her life like I had never been there. And you know what? I never looked back. Not that night. Not the next morning. When I woke up in that cheap motel with nothing but a half-packed bag and silence pressing down on me. Not when my phone lit up with dozens of missed calls and frantic messages. Some apologetic, some angry, some begging me to just talk to her. I ignored them all. I stepped outside, took a deep breath, and let the crisp morning air hit my face. It felt like a fresh start. For the first time in years, I wasn't tied to someone else's expectations. I wasn't living in someone else's comparisons, haunted by someone else's ghosts. Driving away from that city felt surreal. At every stoplight, I waited for regret to creep in, to question if I had made the right decision. But regret never came. Days turned into weeks. The messages slowed down, then stopped altogether. It was as if I had died in her world, just as she had in mine. I built a new life, a new routine, a new version of myself, one that no longer had to compete with the shadow of a man who wasn't even in the picture anymore. And Lena? Maybe she finally realized what she lost. Maybe she moved on. Maybe she's still comparing every man she meets to a past she refuses to let go of. But that's not my concern anymore. Because when I walked out that night, I wasn't just leaving her. I was walking toward myself.